Welcome to Fabulous Women Over 40, hosted by celebrity stylist Kara Allan. Join Kara as she interviews amazing women, sometimes younger and amazing men as well, in their 40s and beyond. Here's Kara with our Fabulous Woman of the Day.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Fabulous Women Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Kara Allan, a personal stylist and branding expert with over 22 years of experience helping women and men create powerful presences through their appearance. This podcast is dedicated to celebrating the incredible women and men over 40 who are redefining what it means to be fabulous at any age. Today's guest is a creative disruptor, a bold visionary, and the design mind behind some of the world's most immersive Instagrammable spaces. I'm thrilled to welcome Daniela Gottschalk, I think I got that right, founder of Tinseltown, the high concept interior design and project development firm that's completely redefining what it means to create for creators. Daniela's landmark project, the Bohoho in Camps Bay, South Africa, is a dreamy mashup of 1960s Palm Springs glamour, retro Hollywood magic, and unapologetic color, creating a luxurious playground for content creators, creatives, and bold travelers alike. But she's not stopping there. As the owner of Frankfurt's iconic Theplacetobe bar and a powerhouse in Germany's hospitality scene, Daniela is blending psychology, marketing, and experiential design to create spaces that don't just look good, they feel transformative. If you've ever dreamed of stepping into a space that reflects your energy, inspires your creativity, and turns heads on Instagram, this conversation is your design fantasy come to life. Let's dive in with the incomparable Daniela. Welcome, Daniela. So happy to have you here.
Unbelievable. What an introduction. I feel I must go on a stage and holding a speech now.
I know, right? And ChatGPT gives us all the fabulous intro we dream of.
ChatGPT obviously knows me. That's fantastic.
Isn't it cool? It's like your best friend. They know exactly what to say and it doesn't say anything bad.
No, I think it will never say anything bad. That's the trick about it. But somebody told me ChatGPT likes if you talk nasty to it. I never tried it out. So I don't know. It's maybe like the SM version of ChatGPT. I don't know.
All right.
I tried it out.
No, I haven't tried that one.
No, I mean, if ChatGPT is so kind, how can I talk nasty to him? To her?
Yeah.
To her?
No, we don't want to do that. But it's interesting to know that the dark side is out there.
Yeah, the dark side of ChatGPT.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, you are a creative visionary behind Tinseltown. So tell us about how this dream started and what inspired you to redefine content creator spaces through immersive design.
Well, I think it started much sooner than I realized that it started. So I had always like this passion for decorating from my first apartment over my friends already asked me for like decorating advice, and I always had a strong sense of fashion and colors though. But it never crossed my mind that I actually want to be an interior designer. So I was really thinking, I need to open. Though I had this idea of opening a restaurant. So I was thinking I have to own the restaurant to be able to decorate the restaurant, because I'm coming from advertising and I'm a creative person and I was a copywriter. And I suffered so much in advertising because you have to give your creativity away for the client, for the money, and they basically cook your idea down to a version that it isn't your idea anymore. There's nothing in it anymore. You still have to sign up for it. So, and you think like, I'm almost ashamed of it because it has nothing. So I was thinking, no, I need to do my own thing. So, but I wasn't seeing that I can't just be the interior designer. So I opened a restaurant, I opened a bar, which I still have the bar. Though the restaurant, the bar became bigger when I closed the restaurant. And then I bought a house in Croatia, and then I had a regular customer from my bar who wanted me to decorate her house in London, and I still didn't give myself. It's like people becoming an artist. So there are some people I just met, like a 20-year-old couple from New Zealand, and they he studies art here in Frankfurt, and they calling themselves artists. And I'm like, where do you get it from to be so bold to call yourself an artist? So we are always like kind of a different generation. You're shy. It's like artists, you don't touch it. It's like, am I an artist? So is it not just a person who hangs a white wall into the Museum of Modern Art for 50 million? So and then after I sold somebody wanted to buy my house in Croatia, including the furniture, or only because of the interior design. And then it rang a bell that this is my actual mission. So I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm very interested in the human soul and the human spirit and the human mind. But I'm interested in creating inner rooms and outer rooms. So I'm like, no, you are now an interior designer. Call yourself an interior designer and send yourself on the mission. And then I was like, yeah. And now, which was a lifelong dream, not a lifelong dream, but for the last 15 years, I was dreaming about buying a house in South Africa, because I was in love with South Africa ever since I landed there for the first time 17 years ago. And I was too coward, and then COVID hit, and I'm like, oh my God, the world officially went insane. So now I can also go for what my heart desires. Nothing makes sense anymore. Don't be reasonable. Don't be anything. Just do it. So, and then I found this very, very old house, and I wanted to have a very, very old house that I can really renovate the shit out of it, so that people can see what you can actually do. So I bought the oldest house basically on the market in the best area, and I really turned it around so much. And this is now my business card. So people now start to realize I can do that to my house too, because people just lacking the vision, and I don't blame them, but I'm kind of that 3D thinking. I see it. I always see the potential, and I will see how it looks afterwards. So that's also for me impossible to work with a computer or anything, because it's all in my head. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I know how it's going to look.
I love that. You can literally look at something and say, this would be better if that wall is knocked down. It would open up the space, and then we could put all this color in here, and that would open it up as well. Like, I love that. I love It's amazing.
The wall in my head is already taken down. The floor is already turned from dark to white. So everything is already white canvas. And I'm already in my head, like in an app, I'm moving furniture around. So it's basically done. Like after 2 hours, the whole job is done.
That's so cool. So you mentioned that your background is both marketing and psychology. So how do both of those disciplines influence the way you design your interiors and experiences?
Well, I think marketing probably not so much, more the I studied marketing, but I never had to use it. So I did copywriting. But also copywriting is more just like the creative thinking that you like, that you have ideas that you also can put into visuals. So that's maybe the part of advertising, which you can also see in the interior design. But psychology pretty much, because I think also being able to expressing myself through my creations was also, I'm myself in therapy for 25 years, not nonstop, but I did all kind of therapies, and it goes on, and I will never stop doing it. I think it's one part as you should not only work on your soul or on your heart or on your mind, you should also do some bodily tension release exercises. And if you can find a way to express yourself in the outside world so that it reflects back to you, that you're in a room that mirrors what's going on inside, that's just a beautiful thing. You're much more aware of what you are and who you are and what you're able to create.
Well, and I think you have to want to, like you were saying, you've been in therapy, but it's not like constant or whatever. But I think we all need a tune-up, and you have to be able to understand that when you need to look in or something's not working, we need a tune-up, and that there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then when did you realize that design can go beyond like beauty and become an emotional experience for people? Like, you can walk into a room and actually feel something by the color and the photos and the pictures or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like how I experienced rooms over the time, so that you sometimes come into an apartment or in a house, and it's not even about the person who lives there. Sometimes it's about the person who lives there, but just
Mm-hmm.
like every room has an energy to it, every place in the world. Cape Town, for example, has the most amazing energy. Yeah, so the whole city has the most amazing energy, despite all the poverty and everything, but it has an amazing energy. Like Germany has a horrible energy. It's just like it's dragging you down. So you have to hold everything up, and all the colors in the world you have to hold against it to equalize it. So yeah, you just get to notice some patterns, how things make you feel, and then when you
Mm-hmm.
start to create, you get bolder and bolder in creating. And I mean, I think at the moment we anyway, if it's like clothing or interior design, we have a lot of like mix and mash. So sometimes I really think like, oh God, these patterns and all of that, that's just too much. It would look so good if you would take something out of it. Sometimes I have the feeling that people really aim to just find things that don't match up. So I think it must match in some way. So, but this was the very tricky thing that you can't explain to anyone, because
Yeah.
I think it's a very fine line where you say this just looks ugly because it's too much color, too much patterns, and this
Mm.
is just genius, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I think maybe it was Coco Chanel that said before you leave the house, take one thing off. 'Cause, you know, like people feel like they have to wear all their rings at one time or all their bracelets, and it's
Yeah,
just like
imagine you were
too much.
only one dress and no jewelry. What are you taking off?
Yeah, well, that too. You know, you have to have some balance too. Like I tell people, when if you like really big earrings, then don't wear a necklace, and then
Yeah,
maybe wear a nice ring. You know, so it's
exactly.
not like all over the place, or you don't have to wear all of your cheetah print at one time. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
wear the dress, the
I
shoes,
think
the
only
bag.
very little people can do that. But I mean, there are all these channels where people in New York get interviewed on the streets. And sometimes I really think like, oh my God. But then again, I think like, whatever, everyone can do what they want to do, you know? But is this now the concept to just throw everything onto you and then like, then wear it with an attitude to just say, I mean, you can do that. That's also fully okay. But it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
do what you
yeah.
want. I mean, I think in New York, that's one place where people can wear whatever. You could walk
Yeah.
around wearing a garbage bag, and nobody would even look at you twice either
Yeah,
way. Like,
exactly, exactly.
come on.
Berlin is the same, so it's like, yeah. So I
So
would
let's
say,
talk about the Bohoho.
yeah.
It's retro glam and ultra bold. What was your vision for that space, and then how did Palm Springs inspire it?
Yeah, I'm like having an addiction with all the old Hollywood things. You know, I really
Hmm.
would have loved to live there, like in the 60s, where, nobody was Botox. Nobody was, there were like there was Liz Taylor and Sophia Loren, and there were like 110 beauties in female
Yeah.
and male, and that's it. And now you go to a supermarket, and the girl on the cashier, she has like her nails done, and she looks already stunning. You know, it's like, there's
Hmm.
so much beauty, even if it's fake beauty these days. And at this days, I feel everything was like, it was all new. So the glam was there was still real glam. I don't think there's a lot
Hmm.
of glam these days. There's a lot of like overly richness, but it's all cheap, and everyone has the same lips, and it's kind of like, there's nothing really nurturing in it. I feel like if I see these 60, or if I even see Mad Men, the way it's done, so there was still some excitement, and people were kind of well behaved. And if you did break a rule, there were still rules to break. So these days it's like there are no rules to break. So I feel I wanted to create a space where you still get like this little Hollywood glam, where you feel like,
Yeah.
you put on some Sinatra music, and you get some martinis and some margaritas, and you're just hanging in the lounges and watch the day go by. That's exactly the feeling you get there. So it's not really modern. It just vibes that old Beverly Hills hotel kind of
Mm.
retro style, and hopefully like, I mean, everyone who comes in the house said it's so peaceful. Why it's like, I mean, it's like a psychotic pill, You go in there, and there's so many colors, so many patterns, so many everything, but it's still absolutely blissful. And yeah, you're far away from everything. Also, like Camps Bay Beach, and all the bus is just around the corner.
Mm. Did you ever see the show on, I think it's Apple Plus, Palm Royale?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's
it
my
reminds me like that.
It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. So the show could
Hmm.
have been a little bit better, I find, but everything like the palmets and the umbrellas and that's exactly my house. Like it's completely Palm Royale.
That I love that. That show
Yeah,
is so great. And they're coming
yeah.
back with a second season, so I can't wait to see what they do.
I keep on watching it. Also, it goes so banana. So like it's getting so cuckoo. But I mean, I just love how everything, the whole setting, it's amazing.
Yeah, like White Lotus too. Like White Lotus is nuts. You're just like, what paradise? But it's nuts. There's
Yeah,
stuff
it's
going on all
completely
the time.
nuts. But it's also like always the same. Every season is kind of the same. There's always one murder, then there's always a big Chandler's mom or whatever.
Yeah.
Stifler's mom. So, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, but also like, I mean, I think Palm Royale could have been a little bit more story. It could have been much better.
Yeah. I mean, we all have thoughts about it because it's like, well, like it's kind of it's believable, but then there's like, maybe they could have
Yeah.
tweaked that a little bit, you
But
know?
I also don't care because I can just stare at all the umbrellas and the sunbeds and how everything is done and the clothes. So it's worth
Yes.
watching.
Do you love? Have you been to Italy? I'm sure you have.
Yes, yes, yes.
Does it? What do you think about Italy as far as a place that with the beauty and the things?
I think Italy is a little bit overrated as a European. You know, I for sure have a different approach to Italy because that's where you always went as a kid with your parents. You know, we've always
Got it.
been to Italy, and only now that I'm older, I'm also going to the luxurious places and so. But Italy is very like old Roman Empire. Like, you know, it's more like
Mm-hmm.
kind of fincas, or if you go to the south of Italy, I like that very much. But that's also like creeks, this Apulia thing that's all very white and minimalistic and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's beautiful for your soul. But it's the opposite of my style. And I think a lot
Yeah.
is very much with like old bricks and kind of a very like romantic Tuscany, red
Yeah.
sandy. And I will not say I can't stand that, but I do not really like it.
Yeah, I get it. And because there's a lot of churches and things there too. That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
my. I went there and we spent a month in Milan when I was on my study abroad program some years back, and my professor was obsessed with these churches. And like after the 10th one, I was like, I don't care if it's part of the program. I'm not going to
Exactly.
one more
I don't
church. I'm
care.
over this.
I get goosebumps from it. I've been to a nun school. I don't want to go to churches. So,
Yeah, and the mausoleums in there, it was kind of creepy to
yeah,
me. I mean, I was like, yeah,
yeah.
no,
And all
I'd rather
the
go eat.
All the, you know, of course, all the Amalfi Coast, Positano, where everyone is now, like
Mhm.
the new Santorini. And so it's nice, but it's so unbelievably expensive. And the whole
Mhm.
theme with all the lemons and stuff, you can create this everywhere. I mean, Italy is
Yeah.
a beautiful place, but if I go to Italy, I would go into like super unpopular places where
Mhm.
little grandmother is cooking some good food, and
Right.
I don't think they are the master of aesthetics. I must say they're very good with
Mm.
fashion. They are very good
Mhm.
looking people, and they
Right.
have great food. But I do
Yeah.
not think that they are great interior designers in general. Or
I get that. I could
yeah,
see that.
or like
Yeah.
the old buildings, they're also not really appealing. Of course, like in Rome, if you live like in a 400 square old palazzo, that's of course nice, but it would still not
Mhm.
be for me. So, but I
Yeah.
think it's
Mm.
much more appealing for people from overseas than for Europeans. So I think we grew up because you never, well, whatever, in the 80s or 90s, you never flew to the States or to New Zealand or to Australia, what kids do these days, because you went to Spain or to Italy or to France, and we only went to Italy. So for me,
Mm.
it's ec- not, it's not bad, but it's not, no,
Yeah, it's not fabulous for you.
no, it's not fabulous.
It's okay. I got it. Because it's like I live in Northern Virginia, and so I'm 20 minutes near DC. And people come here for the cherry blossoms and all the museums and stuff. And I did that when we were like 5, when I
Yes,
was like 5.
exactly.
So I don't go. I mean, if I go into DC, it's for a good restaurant that I just have to go to because I
Yeah,
miss the food. But it's definitely not to go to a museum that I've been to like 20 times at this point, unless there's some new
exactly.
installation. is great.
And what about like Nantucket in the Hamptons? Because there's like a whole hysteria now out there about all these. I mean, of course, it's obviously super pricey, but it's now the hottest shit. So everyone is talking about the Hamptons and Nantucket, and every Netflix series is playing in Nantucket. And
Yeah. I think it's overrated. I mean, I've never really gone much, but from what I can see, it's just another place where people, pay a lot of money to be in a place that,
exactly. You just want to belong to the very rich people. That's all.
yeah,
So yeah,
and they don't really care if you're
yeah,
there or not.
yeah.
So,
Exactly. They don't even see you. Go away.
right, like who let them in here?
Yeah, who let them on
Basically,
the island? Go.
so bad. So how do you balance like boldness and playfulness and elegance when you're designing for both like the aesthetics but function too, right? Because like most rooms, you want it to be functional, you want it to be safe, obviously, like electrically and everything else, but you also want it to speak to you. Like this is my bedroom, and I want it to feel like my like a Cleopatra room or something. I don't know. And then like your living room is for gathering, and or kitchen is for gathering. So like how do you bring all those aesthetics together?
I think I'd only stick to the unavoidable rules that, like, okay, electricity is, of course, it had nothing to do with design. So, like, electricity must be
Hmm.
done by a profi, and of course, the bedroom must also
Yes.
have a bed. But that's all I
Yes.
keep in mind. So, and of course, kitchens, I'm just being only bold with like backsplashes and the color of the kitchen and the handles. So, I've like
Mm.
these customized handles, which are kind of like now the symbol of Bohoho. We do, or like Tinseltown. I do in all
Mm.
kitchens the same handles in different colors. But other than that, I think there are no limits. And I'm not so much, I don't think that people who want a really functional home choose me as their interior designer. They want to have a playground. They want to have it's most of the time not their first and only home. It's
Hmm.
like their holiday home or their second home or their third home. So it is functional, but it's not overly functional. So
Mm.
I don't think I'm the interior designer of choice if you want to really have something functional.
Yeah.
It will function, but you also have to live with all the stuff standing around because it won't be minimalistic, you know?
Yeah, because I noticed when I was doing a lot of inspections for Airbnbs, and we would go in looking not only for aesthetics, but also whether their electrical outlets were done right. Because we saw a lot of crazy things with the way people were plugging up washer and dryers and like weird lighting, and it's just like
Horrible.
you're gonna burn the joint down. It's not
Exactly.
good. So that, but then just really like, how do you want to feel? So like, how do you want people to feel when they walk into one of your spaces, especially women who are like stepping into their power or their femininity? How do you want everyone to feel?
Yeah, I want people really to feel empowered and to say, this is
Mm.
possible, like, though
Hmm.
this is possible, I can do that. So basically, there are no limits to design. There is no one
Hmm.
telling you can't put a cushion on a cushion on a cushion on a cushion. There's no one telling you that you can't have wallpaper on the ceiling. It's basically, so there is no-go. And that's also the same thing in psychology. There is nothing I'm not talking about with someone. Even if someone is
Hmm.
suicidal, it's not like, oh, I can't talk about this. It's like basically I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I'm not afraid to make a room in a way that I think people have the feeling they have to defend their room in front of their
Hmm.
friends or whoever. And
Yeah.
if it's in there, they wouldn't engage me if they. So some of them do engage me, and then they're like super proud, and they make pretend that they did this, and others say like that's so different from me. I could never stand up for that, but because I could never explain why you put the purple cushion on the orange couch and stuff like this. But in general, you should just like get a feel of and I also had this when I opened my bar, that people just felt like, I mean, I had people telling me like, this bar gave me the confidence to come out to my parents.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
in the beginning like, how? But it's just like it's all possible, you step into a place. And I remember when I was a child, I had like a kindergarten teacher, and she also gave me that feeling, because my parents
Hmm.
they weren't strict, but they were very um anxious, or very they never overstepped any boundaries. And I could just feel when I walked into her room, into her house, it was like Pippi Longstocking, it's like, oh, you can basically do and be whatever you want to be. And there's someone who show you the way, it's like, yeah, I'm not afraid to present that to the world. And that was always a problem for my parents because they were like kind of ashamed or like they were intimidated because they're like, what is she doing? Who is she? Is she even our child? So why did she choose to open a bar in the middle of Frankfurt so everyone can see the craziness? But I mean, I love that. And there are a lot of people who love it too.
Yeah. So, and speaking of the bar, so like give us a picture of it. I have to Google it and look it up. But so tell us when the people walk in, like what do they see immediately, and what do you have, like a center piece to the space, or is it just like, give us a little visual for it?
It's a little bar. It's long and small. There are like Hollywood swings standing in front of it. It's very alternative. People put about 5 million stickers on everywhere, and they're tagging in the bathroom, and you can renovate and renovate and renovate. So it did grow, but I just renovated it. Now at the moment the walls are dark brown and have like an outline, and then I painted some palm trees on it, and it has like very many Vietnam lampignons, or that's not like lamps, like in different colors. And then it has tinsels like lametta, like glitter stuff hanging around, and a lot of handmade flowers, like big flowers, which I made myself, which hang just from the ceiling. And then I have a room next door, which is like a complete jungle. It's like it has like a bohemian vibe and like pink velvet seats, and it has like a pink where you give the drinks over. I'm not getting the name now. A pink bar with like metro tiles, and it has a lot of palm trees and fake flowers, which come out of like bird cages. So it's two completely different rooms, because the room next door was the soup bar before, the restaurant. And the other one was already so aged and so special. And I have like a big tiger head in the back of it, and I had like a clown for the most time and an elephant. It had like the theme circus, but I have it for 25 years. So it went through stages of renovation. So, but it's like, it's good. There's still pieces of the old look and the look before the old look. So it has grown.
It sounds fabulous.
It's fabulous, and it's so rare for Frankfurt, because Frankfurt is such a business-oriented and stiff and clean and banking city. So you do not have a lot of alternative. I mean, my bar in Berlin would be like one of a million, but in Frankfurt, it's really like unique.
I love that. And you were talking about so tell us a little bit about how you grew up. Like, were you always a creative child, and how did your parents manage that? You said they were like, what's happening with this bar? Were you always running around coloring on the walls and like
No, I was very well behaved, but I mean, I had like this kindergarten teacher, which I adored, and I always painted also in kindergarten. And she loved what I did. So she always was like, oh, Daniela, she's so creative and all of that. But my parents were like, they never really acknowledged it. So they did never hang up my paintings or anything. So, which was very sad. And then in school, for the first 4 classes, I was also very creative. And my teacher, again, she completely acknowledged that. But then she had this weird idea of like sending me to girls only school. So that was obviously with nuns. Because I was very good at school, and that was kind of an elite college. And my parents were like completely like, we were normal, like middle class, and they would never have expected me to go there, because they were all the children of the doctors and the lawyers and stuff. And but my marks were just so good. So because I loved it, I loved my teacher, I loved it at school, everything was easy for me. But once I was at that school, it was horrible for me. I was like an outsider, and I didn't belong there, and I didn't have the courage to tell my parents, and my marks went down, and my parents didn't even question it, where that comes from, So I was staying there for 5 years, and then I went to a mixed school, and then I was finally out of school. I absolutely hated school, but I always loved art. I did always love art, and I wanted to study art, but I went for like a holiday job where I was supposed to do my map with all that. Was the job was so horrible that I couldn't be creative, so my life did take another turn. Normally I would have gone to art college, but I haven't.
Yeah. So what advice would you give parents who have creative children, to stoke those fires? Because that's something that, as a creative person, I feel like you have to encourage it, because the world doesn't necessarily encourage art. It's all about math and science and,
Yeah.
whatever. So like, how do you do that? How do you keep the kid interested in that, but also learn, keeping their education up with other things that they don't like so much?
Yeah, you know what? First of all, I would definitely send my kid to a Waldorf school. I think that's just the best school there is. I mean, not that I'm super, as I do not have kids. I never came into the situation, but I just know that the people I know who went to Waldorf school and the kids that I know now from my friends who went to Waldorf school, it's just the best. They do that. They show you the way, and they look who you are and what needs to be supported and what is not for you, instead of like being punished for years with physics and math. I never could do that, and it was clear it would never be part of my life, And I
Yeah.
mean, actually, you don't need it because you're not standing there, and I mean, you have a calculator and that's it. It's just not practical. So I would let
Right.
my kid do everything, I would like whatever, create their room, but I would encourage them to paint on the walls. Why not? I mean, I don't want to have like a show off room, though that's my kids' room. I want the kids to express themselves. I would sue with them. I would I would really just listen to my kid. And as long as it's not self-harming or anything, I would just listen to my kid, because all these little wise souls, they're just incarnated. I think they still
Yeah.
know where they're coming from. And they're much more cleverer, just like animals. They don't have the voice to express themselves, but they're much more connected to source. So I would definitely listen to my kid in everything.
That's such great advice, for sure. Because we want them to learn to be their own person, not who we want them to be. I mean, like,
Exactly.
you got to give them room to grow and figure out who they are in the world. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, I
I try
think
to do
that
both.
a lot of people just want to be the kids, the extension of themselves, be exactly what they are or be exactly what they couldn't be.
Yeah.
Not like, and I think a lot of people are not, why people always think like, oh, it's so egoistic to not have kids. I think a lot of people have kids out of egoism, and they use it. They use these kids to fulfill their dreams or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think, no, I mean, a kid is a gift. And I would always think like, okay, who was sent to me? Who wants to come to that? What can I do for you? So, I mean, for sure, everyone with a kid will say, yeah, she can say that because she has no kids. And I'm sure if you have kids, it's a different kind of a challenge. And I know when my friend who became a baby and she desperately wanted to have a baby, and the doula said to her, you know what, for the rest of your life, you want to kill that child one time every day. The challenge is to not kill it. She said, like, actually, that was the best advice anyone ever gave me, because she had this all romanticized fantasy that, like everyone has, how much better of a mom you are than your friends or your sister or your mother or your grandmother. So,
Yeah, that's a setup.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say.
I
I mean, I
guess.
have 3 kids, and they're
Oh, wow.
they're grown-ish, and so like one will be 32 this year,
Oh,
then the other one just turned 29, and then my son will be 25,
okay.
and I have 5 grandchildren. So it's like, I have all these little energies and people around me, and I've always, because my parents kind of had the idea of what they wanted me to do, and so I always tell them, whatever you want to do, I'm 100% behind you. Like, you just gotta shoot, and not that you have to stick with it. If you figure out you don't like it, then do something else. You don't want to be miserable and doing something that you're supposed to
Yeah,
enjoy. So,
exactly. Yeah.
you got to give people room to become themselves, or find, I won't even say find themselves, but become themselves, more or less.
Yeah, it's actually really narcissistic to just see the child as an extension of yourself, or what can the child bring me, and then Also, like, but it even starts with like whatever friends of mine not acknowledging their child has red hair because red hair is somehow not so like, I mean, no, your child has red hair, so where's the fucking problem? So like, yeah, no, my child is not autistic. It is, and it's better you not keep on denying it because it will just be harder for the child and just
Yeah. And for you too. I mean, if you gotta acknowledge reality. Like we can't just
exactly. They're basically like, oh, he can find out later for himself. So basically, when he's not on my watch anymore, and then he runs against all the walls, and then he can find out he's autistic. Okay, great.
That's not smart.
Well, it's not smart. But just what I'm saying, I think
Yeah.
people, I think it's the biggest lie when I always hear people that are pregnant and then like, what do you prefer, a girl or a boy? Oh, the only thing that matters is that it's healthy. That's like the standard answer. And it might be true, but it's like from a psychological side, it's not true because people have a preference. Most people have a preference, and that you already feel guilty to say, I would prefer a boy. So if you ask me, I would prefer a boy. If I get a girl, I'm sure 100% love it the same, but I would prefer a boy. But not even this is possible. It's basically like, I don't care. But in your head, you have an idea, and your husband has another idea probably. So it's like there the big lie starts.
Yeah, I think people don't know how to be self-aware. That's where a lot of therapy could come
And
in.
also not like feel guilty for any preferences, you know? I mean, yeah, that's human. You have a preference. You would have a preference. Doesn't mean that you like, you know, you have to like project everything then away and deny it and put all the energy on denying the reality. It's horrible.
Well, that's a whole nother story for sure. But that's part of the problems that we have in the world because people aren't honest about things, and then if they're not honest with themselves, they're not going to be honest with you because it just
Exactly.
doesn't
That's
work.
profound. That's what I'm also always saying. I'm like, you can't expect to be anyone to be more honest with you than they are with yourself. You know, if they have a fucked up relationship, they won't admit it to you if they can't admit it to themselves. So it's like, but you're sitting there listening to all of that, and for me, it's like an urge to say, like, no, this is over. Honestly.
It's so true. Oh my god, people are crazy. I mean, people are just people, but they definitely borderline are a little insane sometimes.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. It's just in denial, plain denial. So.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time just looking at people like, okay, is that working for you? Maybe I don't think so,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go on with that. Whatever. So, how is designing for content creators and digital nomads different from designing like typical? Well, none of your spaces are typical, but like, say, do you do spaces for hospitality too, or is it mainly
I do
just?
spaces for hospitality too. And as
Okay.
I mean, I'm lucky that only people reach out who want something extraordinary. So in the end,
Hmm.
when it comes to me, it's very similar doing something for content creators. Also, you can even be more wild, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
but at least it's like really like, how does it look on camera? How does it look on the Insta reel and so on and so on and so on? What is unseen? You, of course, want to create something that is unseen. And a
Hmm.
restaurant or a bar still, they also want to, especially a bar wants to create something unseen, but a restaurant wants something still like matching with the type of style of kitchen. And if they have an upper price menu, they might not be too keen on doing something absolutely like outstanding that this, I mean, the most
Yeah.
of the posh restaurants, they would rather go very plain so that you focus on
Mm.
the food. But there,
Yeah.
especially in Cape Town, there are some who like now take another approach and say, okay, we have enough of all these hygge and all the super elegant. We go, especially restaurants that are around for a long time and
Yeah.
they have it, they can cook, but there's a lot of competition. There's so much good food. So they will also go like on a more bold approach that you just have to go there because you just need pictures there. And taking pictures is these days just a part of the whole experience. So you're not like,
Mhm.
you hardly go, most people do not go for themselves anymore for dinner. They also go for dinner to post it on social media that they have been to the lake's hotspot, and it should be recognizable.
Right. So, what elements do you feel like would are essential for creating a Instagrammable space, like without it feeling staged or artificial, like it was overdone or whatever.
Yeah, I think I mean my go-to is always wallpaper. I find wallpaper is just like the thing that is most outstanding
Mm-hmm.
on videos. But I also love pelmets. I love all kind of some umbrellas, or I like the way. I mean, I love very old-fashioned curtains with these pelmets because it's also unseen. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, I like lamps, lots of lamps. So, which
Mm-hmm.
gives you like, it's not like, okay, you need a lamp on the ceiling and one and left to the right. So I like more of everything. I will always double and triple up. So two is essential, but if I can have 6 or 7 of the same thing, it's even better.
Yeah. And I think lighting is always something in a home or a hospitality space that is essential.
Yeah.
Not too much, but not too little either. Because if you can't see what's going on, it's like, I've
Yeah,
been in some
but you
where
always
it's
need indirect lighting because ceiling lighting is just the dead of everything. Like it's the dead of your face, it's the dead of everything. You just need I mean, light can change. Like, is a evening is going to be romantic, or when you're upset and you come just in a room with the best, with the best light. And if you come in a
Mhm.
room like a Spanish taverna, where it's like a bright white light with a little touch of yellow, you're like, okay, do I have hepatitis B, or is it like it's very bad? Yeah. It's just like not very, very comforting. Yeah, light is also for me very, very important.
I think that every like retail store should have you come and fix their dressing room lighting, and
Yes,
even their dressing rooms, because of the Ann Taylor did a really good job with redoing their dressing rooms, but a lot of other places, even some of the department stores are just like, why would I don't even want to go in here? It
exactly.
feels
I don't
like,
want to go in, and I'm definitely not going to buy it after I see all my cellulite and how I look in it. So there's some stores that really they have like darker mirrors and darker light, and you look like $5 million. But then again,
Mhm.
as you said, it's like, and I'm not surprised that people order online because then you try it on when you're in a good mood with the right light, and then you're so yeah, that's true. Like it's yeah, they could that could change a lot if you have like a real nice dressing room with a good light and a good also color of the walls. That will also help.
Yeah. Yeah, I think have less dressing rooms, but make them really spacious and luxury, because that for women especially, like men are more functionally, whatever, they're just in
Yeah,
there to try it on. They don't care. But for women it's the whole experience of like, I want to be sort of catered to and pampered when I'm going into this dressing room, so I feel like safe to go take my clothes off and go look
exactly.
in put the clothes on
Yeah,
and put in
I
this
don't want to
mirror.
be a shop assistant coming in the middle of like, how is it? So like, oh, step outside.
Exactly. Like it's crazy. So yeah, I think that's we should do that as a mission. Start
Okay,
knocking on.
let's do that as mission. That's our new
Yes,
project
our new project is to
worldwide.
go to
Yeah,
yes, go and fix up everybody's dressing room. I bet
exactly.
you it will expand their sales exponentially. Okay,
I
that's
do
all I'll
think
say.
so too. But I mean, for how long are there still dressing rooms? I think everything is happening online very soon. So
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, around here, like that's all people do on the weekends is go to the mall. I mean, I don't know if they're just there for because they're bored and there's nowhere else to go. But you can't even. I don't even try to go on the weekends. It's so insane. Like
yeah,
just trying to park is stupid. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. There might be a recession, but you can't tell by driving by the mall.
yeah. Maybe it's more like they're so frustrated, and then like, oh, we can't afford anything, but still, I need to buy something small, like a lipstick or like some stockings
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. Just something.
Yeah, it's probably like window shopping. So when you were a
Yeah.
child, you didn't buy anything, but just like have a look. So
Yeah, and they should even work on having better window dressing too. You know how like they talk about Saks and I guess some of the stores in New York, how they
yeah,
make during Christmas have the
yeah,
windows
and Harrods and
loaded.
everything in Selfridge in London also amazing. Yeah.
So they should do that for their retail dressing room. I mean the retail windows too. Like make them in the lighting and everything, because sometimes that's what brings people in. Just by looking at what's fabulous in the window.
Yeah, it's true.
There we go. But
Very
so
upgraded.
now, for sure. So what advice would you give to women who are 40s, 50s, and beyond, who are ready to reinvent themselves creatively, professionally, and personally?
I definitely would think, I mean, every like brand is always saying just be yourself. And I think that's a
Hmm.
problem because we all never were allowed to be ourselves. We had
Right.
to be like the wife of the husband that wanted us to be that way. We had to be the daughter of the mother who wanted us to be that way. Our boss wanted us to
Hmm.
be that way. So we have a hard time. And if some stupid jeans brand or some sneakers just says like, just be who you are, that's the question. Who am I? And I'm also
Yeah.
embarrassed to admit that I don't know who I am. So I think
Mm-hmm.
like the best way to find out who you are is really like listen to this tiniest voice inside of you and go after the tiniest feeling of joy you feel when you see something. Yeah. If you see a woman in a pink catsuit and you think, yeah, stunning for her, she's 34 and size whatever. No, it probably also good for you. Like just
Hmm.
try it
Hmm.
out. Order one
Hmm.
online or whatever and see yourself in it. If you then still saying no, sometimes you really have to dress up something and then take a walk with it and see how people
Yeah.
react and see that it's not as embarrassing as you were thinking or it was even positive. So just try to listen to that tiny voice inside of you that does not tell you, oh, you have no taste. I mean, you never were good in choosing clothes. Your friend blah 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 is much better in that, and you not look anymore like this and you never look like that. So no, so just like whatever you like, it does not always look good on someone else or
Hmm.
the living room of your friend. Yeah, she can have it. I can't have it. No, just bring the elements in that you like
Hmm.
and go from there. So just like
Yeah.
whatever, if you never wore makeup, start with a lipstick and then take
Hmm.
mascara on top and then take a little bit of rouge and just like go get there. So from like, no, I'm not having makeup to like, yeah, they look great. They're fully made up. Just like take little steps
Yeah.
and try it out how it feels. And if it doesn't feel right, don't make like a decision of like, no, that's not for me. No, just try another lipstick color. Try as many lipstick colors if you say, oh, that suits me.
Yeah. I used to I worked for MAC Cosmetics for a
Oh,
long time
lovely.
as a freelance artist. And it was so funny when women would come in and they'd be like, no, I want to look natural. And I'm like, well, then you don't want makeup. What I
Yeah,
mean? But it's not the point to look like some other version of yourself or not yourself. It's you just try it out. It's just makeup. It's not plastic surgery. You can wipe it off if you don't like that
exactly.
color or that
Exactly.
shade the way it's done.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
Just calm down. It's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah,
So, or expect it to be a miracle worker. Like I had one lady come in who had overly tanned herself, and it was like she wanted me to like do something, and I'm like, honey, I can't do nothing with this. The stuff is literally sliding off your face because you've burned yourself. Like you need to let your skin calm down like this. And then they're looking at you like, what? Why can't you fix? No, you can't do that.
it's like
Like,
me as a child when I came with short hair to the hairdresser and I had a photo of a lady with long hair like me, and I'm like, I want this. Because I didn't understand the concept of either like that's a hairdresser, I get a new haircut. I mean, I didn't understand that the hair must be longer for that. I just like I want this. This sounds like that, but I was only 5 at this time.
well, then we can give you a pass. But we're talking
Yeah,
about like at least
exactly.
grown 20-plus-year-old women that are like, dude, can you cover this big thing? I'm like, okay, what I can do is cover over it, but because it's raised, I can't do anything with it. Like it's part
Yeah,
of your skin. I can't make it go away. I can cover the redness, but I can't.
crazy.
Like it's literally insane. And I just think they just don't think about it because they don't wear it regularly or don't do anything with it. But at the same time, it's like a little bit of common sense there.
Yeah, no, no common sense, no more.
You're not
True.
magicians. It's not how it
Yeah,
works,
I'm sorry to tell you, we're not magicians. Sorry.
We can't make it appear or go away just because
No, we
you know.
can't. Sorry.
It's
We don't want to
crazy.
tell you you're not looking that good, but hey, be realistic.
Yeah, and you just have to let your skin heal and do what it needs to do
Yeah,
versus trying
exactly.
to cover it up. It's gonna make it. It's gonna aggravate it if you're putting all
Yeah,
this stuff on. So anyway, so what's next for you in Tinseltown? More global destinations, new concepts, a book? Like what's going on?
I'm having like an engagement with a restaurant in Cape Town.
Ooh.
But it's in the final stages. That would be like a big project. So I didn't take on anything else because I want to do that. But I'm planning on opening something myself because I really want
Mhm.
to have a Tinseltown shop because
Ooh.
that's the best way to display. Because I mean, as my house is my business card, and of course everyone who has a photo shoot in there, and though people get to know it, but I want to be
Yeah.
out there more in the city and have something where people can go in if it's for a coffee or for a drink and have the whole experience and then
Right.
see it for themselves. So I have an idea for myself, which is like hospitality, which I would then later sell the concept, but probably I open it first, but it's still top secret.
Got you, got you. So what's your personal design style in 3 words, if you could come up with that in 3 words?
My personal design.
Style. Like what would you say? Like for me, my personal style for my dress is like 40s style with a modern twist.
Okay.
Like that.
Definitely unapologetic, bigger than life, and luscious.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so one city that you would like to create an immersive property in that you've dreamed of besides Cape Town or somewhere you've already been,
You mean in another country?
or another city, another country, somewhere that you thought, this would they need my aesthetic here.
Oh my God, it's everywhere. But I mean, an example of like Croatia, they definitely needed my aesthetic, but they were like, that was too hard. That was like really building something in a concrete wall. So I didn't enjoy to
Oh,
be there. So I set an example, but they are so honestly so backwards in everything. And no, that's too difficult. I think there are still, I mean, basically there are parts everywhere in the world where people would need that,
mm,
but it depends on the mindset, you know? So like
mm,
I can find someone in the depths of Italy who has that dream of like, I have a very gay style. So like gays are very drawn to the whole thingy. So
right.
I don't know. I would love to do something in Palm Springs, but the Palm Springs sites already hit so close to home that
Mm,
I do not even know. But I don't want to be like a I do not even want to go there where it's not ready for, you know? I
yeah.
appreciate everyone who says like, do whatever you want to. I mean, of course, that's every interior designer's dream, but for me, it's very hard. It's very like, if you want to engage me, it's very hard. That will feel like 20 years ago in advertising where people say like, bring your idea but then cook it down to something, you know? If you want to have something
Mhm.
beige, if you want to have a golden retriever style of apartment, which is also wonderful, please don't engage me because it doesn't fit, you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, I go everywhere where people say like, I want to have something unseen. And then I'm in my element. Then please, yeah, please, I'm coming. I do whatever.
I love that. And you know what I would think? This is just me because I love New Orleans. I think New Orleans would be ready for you, and also someplace in Miami.
Miami would be great, you know. I have
Yeah.
such a tragic. I've only been one time to Miami Beach, and it was the day that Versace was shot. Which is
Oh
I have
God.
such a tragic
Yeah.
experience with Miami Beach, so weird. But I think Miami definitely would be a place. Definitely
Hmm.
would be a place. New Orleans, I don't know. I haven't been. But I also have a very, you're right. I have a very, like when it comes to New Orleans, I have a very sexy, tingly feeling when I think of it.
Hmm.
But I only
Hmm.
know it really from movies whatsoever.
Yeah, that needs to be one of your next vacation destinations, so you
Okay,
can check
I
out
will.
because
I must
it's.
admit, I'm a big LA fan. I mean, I was always a
Mhm.
little bit torn between LA and Cape Town. But in Cape Town, you have a much better chance to become someone because LA is already full of people who want to become someone and they hang on to the dream forever until they're homeless. Honestly, it's tragic. So you meet people that are basically
Oh my
homeless. They
God.
look good. They go to audition the next day, but they're homeless. And I'm like,
Oh
okay,
my God.
it's really like a psychological problem if you're just
Yeah.
waiting for your whole life to be seen, which is like, I think, a destiny a lot of actors share, but you
Mm.
can't wait forever until you're homeless. That's just terrible. So
Yeah, do
terrible.
something else. Do something else in the meantime while you're
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah,
You
like
know?
LA is like Mac. They're the same. The people have the same. So they come into you and say like, change that all. And so they also think like LA is a magician. Of course, I think LA has a potential that things happening for nobodies, but it's
Mm,
like 1 out of 100. So I mean,
yeah,
hang
it's true.
around and wait for that. If you not even can land a commercial thing, that is sad and psychotic actually.
Well, I always said that in LA, everybody's somebody, like the busboy is somebody, everybody's somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just the
Yeah,
land
it's
of the
true. And you also see
crazy
all of
people.
them. I saw so many celebrities, it was insane. I'm also like a groupie in that sense. I found that amazing. All these people there that you actually have the chance to see that they're just alive. You can see them with their own
Right.
eyes. So I did yoga next to Russell Brand. I was so smitten. I'm like, that's amazing because that would never happen. Nobody lives in Germany, when you're from here and then you come to LA and then you realize all shows you ever watched are playing in LA. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like basically LA is TV. So TV is LA. That was an amazing realization.
Yeah, it's true. The last time I went there to visit some friends, every place we went, we saw some celebrity somewhere. And it was like it's like being at the zoo, but they're out in the wild.
Exactly. Oh my God, here they are. Like Disney World, like Mickey
So
Mouse.
bizarre.
Oh, I'm Minnie Mouse.
Yes. And some of them are so nice and some of them are
Who
just
did you see?
terrible.
Who did you
So
see?
terrible. So we saw like Russell Simmons. We went to some event and he was there. And then what's the comedian guy's name? Oh my God, I forgot his name. Ugh, I can't remember his name. But we saw him at a restaurant. And then there was one other place we went to. We saw it was literally somebody everywhere we went. Because I used to work at a nightclub in DC that was both nightclubs actually were the two biggest nightclubs in the city back 20 years ago. And celebrities came all the time. Like I have so many pictures with crazy celebrities like Ludacris, mostly a lot of artists and
UNC Diddy. So now you
I,
have.
I never I never saw Diddy, but I did see like Christopher Williams, Vivica Fox, Bright, what's the guy from is married to the woman who was on Soul Food. Oh, Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore is so flippin' nice. He's like the nicest guy. Him and Boris Kojo.
Oh,
So nice. They're both
incredible.
beautiful and they're both nice. Like literally, they
Lovely.
love women. They're just like so happy to see you and give you a hug and like take a picture with you. Like they're the most nicest guys ever.
Lovely.
Literally.
That's lovely.
But
That's lovely
I
to
did
hear.
meet I did meet Michael Jordan once too. That was bizarre. But
I guess.
he
I
is the womanizer that everybody says he is. I'm just gonna say. It was a whole thing. And so this is when he was in playing for the Wizards. And I had never seen him. He used to come to Dream before I worked there all the time. And then he never came. But there was another club that I went to during the week. And I was like, man, I'll probably never see him. And then that day I was there with like 6 girls. We were standing waiting to get in. And then they were about to let us in. And they said, hold on a second. And then he walked with a couple other baseball players or basketball players. And I was like, oh my God. So then there's like 3 levels to this place, and we went to the very top, the VIP. And so he was there, but there were so many people around him, so I kind of left it alone. Then I happened to walk back there later by myself, and it was wide open, and he was right there talking to this other club owner. And I walked up to him, and he looks at me, and he's like, if we were playing strip poker and you lost, you'd be naked. I was like, well, you're kind of.
and you
I was
let
like,
it go?
well, you're right. So,
Yeah.
and then the dress I had this long string on it. And he was like, well, what does this string do? And I was like, nothing. It's just cosmetic kind of. And he pulls it but it's so super long. I can't tie it back myself. And I was like, bro, you took the thing off. Can you tie it back? And then he's like looking around. He's like, okay, I'm just tying the dress. My lawyer's right here. I'm just tying the dress. So while I'm standing there doing this, some other woman walks up in front of me and she's got this huge rock on her hand, on her wedding finger. And she's like trying to get his attention and he's not paying attention. And finally he looks at her and he's like, are you married? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I think she said no. And he said, well, why are you wearing that ring? She's like, because I just like it. And he's like, yeah, right. And, I'm like, oh, I got 3 kids. And we're just chatting, right? So then I'm like, we should go to lunch sometime. And he's like, sure. He's like, here's my number. And he rattles it off. So I was like, okay. So then we were leaving later. And he's like, this is when he used to live in where was it? In the Ritz-Carlton in Georgetown. And so he was leaving. He's like, are you coming? And I was like, no, I'm not going with you. I said, I came with people. And he's like, just take them home or just leave them. I was like, no, sir, I'm not. So then after that, I called to see if it was him. And he answers. And I go, it's Kara. And he goes, who? I said, red dress. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, are you coming? I was like, no. So then the next week I came back and he was there again, and I had one girl with me, and she didn't believe me that I had met him. And I'm like, why would I lie? Like, it's
I
stupid.
have his number.
Exactly. And so it was weird, though. I called it a couple times during the week, and it was always off. So, but he did answer that one time.
It's his
So then
weekend phone.
yeah, exactly. So he's sitting there talking to another girl, and I walk up, and he goes, I'm not talking to you. You stood me up. And I was just like... really, bro? And so then my friend's like, oh shit, she was telling the truth, and so then I introduced her to him, and some other girl was like, introduce me too. So I don't even know her, and I introduced her to him. And so then he's just standing there all night, and then the girl, they came out, and then he was dancing, and I went behind him and I'm dancing. So I'm all of 4'11", right? He's 6'6", so I'm coming up to like his armpits. And then the girl got mad and like threw my hands off of him, and then they were arguing later on. Something was happening, I don't know. And then that was the last night I ever saw him, because after that he got fired from the Wizards like the next day.
You had 2 times encounter and his number. I think that's more than anyone can, not anyone, but most people in this world can say. Well done.
It was quite the adventure. So yeah,
I guess
but I was
so. It's so, I mean, I never talked to them, but just seeing them, honestly, it's just like something happens. So I can basically sense it when they're around. I just feel an aura shift. I honestly must say, I met George Clooney in Florence, and Florence is overcrowded as you cannot believe, There were so many people, and he looks like every other Italian. He's short, he has his gray hair, he has the same sneakers on and everything. And I could just feel a shift in energy. And there he was. Nobody recognized him. Nobody. I was the only person who recognized him, and people were just going. It was like on a zebra crossing. And everyone just crossed. Nobody even looked at him. I mean, I never go up to celebrities and talk to them, but I just took a photo and everything. So, or I was in Nobu's in Malibu, and we were sitting there, and I could just feel a shift in energy, and there was Cindy Crawford. So I just feel that like, okay, something is like shifting. So I'm like, yeah, amazing.
I saw Kris Jenner at Malibu, Nobu. Yeah, that was interesting. She was there with Corey Gamble. So we saw her walk in, and we were like,
okay. I want to see Kris Jenner. I saw Nick Nolte all the time. He was in such a bad state. He was such an alcoholic. Once he was driving with his hospital shirt, where the ass is free. He was driving in his, and then he went to Starbucks and he was holding the door open for me, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that's Nick Nolte." And then he's like, went away. So for sure came of some kind of rehab. So, but I find it so funny that this is the normal there. There is just like the normal. So
yeah, and I bet they get tired of people coming up to them. I mean, some do, I guess, but that comes with the territory, so don't be mad.
But I think most people know that you're supposed to. I mean, the real LA people, they're just basically playing, I don't care, but they still care, of course. They care, but they play like, I love the show Californication. I love it so much. And I saw Karen. I don't know, do you know Californication?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Okay. It's like Hank Moody, it's David Duchovny, and Karen. I do not even know her name. She's a pretty Irish actress, and she's really, I love her in that series so much. And I saw her, I was in LA 3 months, and I saw her 3 times. And I couldn't stop myself. I was like, I'm meeting because I watched that show 10 times or whatever. It's like my family. And I looked at her like, we are friends. You just don't know it. And she was so happy, because I think they're also getting, it's both horrible if people run up to them, but if you if you are famous and everyone is playing it cool. I mean, I feel LA people are trying to be so cool, and like
Yeah.
I'm so not impressed that there's like an Oscar-winning actress around the corner, but they are. So, and I must want to be like a little bit frustrating if nobody ever shows you that they recognize you and that they really
Yeah.
adore you. I think I was staring at her like, oh, and I think she was really pleased. She was like, somebody is showing that they recognize me. Yeah.
Well, and like I said, most of them I've met a lot of the reality TV stars too, and most of them are pretty nice. And then I met the lady who played I don't know her name, but she was the actress in The Irishman, the redhead.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was the wife. She
Yeah.
was so nice.
Oh,
So nice. Met her in
okay.
LA. So super
Lovely.
nice. Yeah. So,
Lovely.
I mean, and everybody should understand that what is Andy Warhol said, everyone can have their 15 minutes of fame, but now it's like everybody can be famous in 15 minutes, because of the internet and everything else. But you still have to understand that nothing lasts forever. Even I
Yeah.
don't care who you are. So,
No, it's
we have
true.
to approach it with some humbleness of like, it's nice that people recognize you. Sometimes they don't know how to act or what to say, but it's still nice to be recognized,
Yeah,
regardless.
I think so because you achieved something. Yeah, and I always think like people like Meryl Streep, they have it really good in the end because Meryl Streep was never like outstandingly beautiful. She was never
Mhm.
admired for her beauty. She's a great actress. She can play everything and everyone, and she's
Exactly.
allowed to age. So she must not go for the whole shenanigans thing. But the others, they just had a period because they have been incredibly pretty, maybe not that talented, and then they start to
Mhm.
age, and then they try to do all the shit to hold it up, and just everyone looks the same. So like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and once you start messing with your face, it's like it's not good. That's all I can say. It's not
no,
good.
it's really terrible. And the thing is, like, as soon as you see it, I think you can probably do 2 or 3 procedures where you just look more awake or whatever. So, but
Yeah.
as soon as you start seeing it, and the bad thing is that people start doing it now so early, like even 25-year-old girls have lip fillers and all of that. But in the end, you will look older because the cognition you have in your head saying like, oh, she has done something. She has done
Hmm.
something to herself, gives you the
Yeah.
same feeling of an old person. You're not even
Yeah.
questioning anymore how old it is. Like Miley Cyrus looks now exactly as old as her own mom because they obviously
Yeah.
went to the same plastic surgeon. And she looks good, but she looks, you don't know, she looks more like now end 30s as well as her 55 or 60-year-old mom also looks end 30s. So it's basically
Yeah.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. And I think because society is so harsh on women and the thing of trying to stay youthful, like for men, they don't get beat up as much as we do for being
Oh,
older.
they can
Now
become
that
fathers with 60. Women are very forgiving if they get fat or bold. They will always find someone, And a woman we must stay pretty because that's all they ever wanted from us. Most people they just wanted a trophy whatsoever. So
yeah,
it's very unfair.
it is. But as long as for me, I'm like, I don't care what anybody at this point in my life, because I'm 53 now, and I got on the I don't give a F bus some time ago, and it was a one-way ticket. So if you don't like it, I don't care because I love it, whatever it is. So as long as you have to be able to own yourself in that
Yeah.
way and not care what anybody thinks. And I think people are more drawn to that because it's not conforming to what the idea of, you have to be quiet, you have to do this, you have to be perfect, you have to be pretty and be quiet, whatever. I don't, I don't have nothing
No,
to do with
it's
that.
true. And I had also like a very insightful thought today, which suits the podcast very well because I had a woman on the street just smiling at me and I smiled back. And I just realized, at least in Germany, how rare it is that women just smiling at each other in like
Mm,
appreciation of each other because we
yeah.
all like forever in this competition with all other women fighting for attention from some man who's not even around. It's basically like most women are in constant competition to each other. And because it's
Yeah.
a man-made thing, we are as because now everyone is like protesting for everything, but women not protesting anymore just to be like completely, okay, equal pay and all of that and abortion and blah, blah, blah. But if we stood together and not against each other, if women would support women like sisters, we could rule the world and the world would not have wars or anything. So all these men, weapon, wars, money, dominance, penis envy, that would be a way. But we still in competition, like, oh, does she look better? Would she have better chances? Is she, and this is like brought to us by men, like be in a constant fight over one of you morons. So,
And the thing is, for the most part, we wouldn't even want the same thing. I don't want the same guy. I don't want the same car. I don't want the same house.
but guys, I mean, if women would really just celebrate each other, if we could just do that, so because it's. Then we would be so powerful, but we will never be if we still think of each other as a constant competition of some random guy, which we don't even know. But there is, in the smile from that woman and my smile back today, it all came to me like there's a constant competition. So there's a constant competition, and then you're even like being envious that other women are younger than you or whatever. So there are, of course, some women who do not think the same that way. But it's so rare. So there's a lot of competition between women, and it just benefits the man because that keeps us down.
Yeah, it's true and unfortunate, but we can change it one person at a time, right? That's all we can do.
Yeah, true.
Everybody has to have their own internal, everyone's had their own internal struggle with that. And so then they have to come to that conclusion of like, there's nobody that's in competition with me. I'm unique, just like you're unique, and we all bring something fabulous to the table, and together we can create something amazing because you're not going to want the same things. You don't have the same talents as I do, or we do things differently. So we all bring something unique and viable, so that there's no, nothing is going to be the exact same, or we're not going to want the exact same thing. That's just the way it is.
True.
So we should start this movement.
We should tonight. And the changing rooms thing.
Yes, and the dressing rooms. We got to get on it. That's our 2 projects. I love that. Well, it's been so fabulous talking to you. I could talk to you for hours. We might have to have
we should do that again.
Yes, we don't have to have a part 2. But tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on, what website, what social media, where can everybody track you down?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram, so it's Tinseltown Design, but Tinseltown with a Z because the original Tinseltown is Old Hollywood with an S, but that's already away. Tinseltown, Tinseltown Design on Instagram and tinseltown.com on the internet, and it's the Bohoho on Instagram and also the bohoho.com on the website.
Perfect. And so whenever you're launching your new secret thing, I would love to talk to you about that when that comes out, so we can chat about it. And so how can we see your house? Is it on your Instagram too? I would love to.
You will see it all. If you go to the Bohoho on Instagram, you will see it all. Or if you go to the website, you will also see it all.
Perfect. I love that. Well, have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for being with me. I enjoyed it so much.
Oh, yeah, I also enjoyed it very much. And we have so much projects to do.
Yes, we do. We have to chat offline for sure.
Yes.
For sure. So thank you for joining everyone for joining us another episode of Fabulous Women Over 40. We will see you next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe so you won't miss our next conscious conversation with Kara and her fabulous guests. Follow Kara on social, on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Clubhouse, @Kara Allan, and connect with her on her website at karaallan.com. Also, leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again, and see you next time.